Scott Morrison is in the bin, and also was all of the plans that all the teams had for running a two-stop. It was a four-stop with scorching temperatures. We saw Max Verstappen come away with the win in Barcelona. I'm Tommy T, and welcome to another episode of Lakeside Drive's Formula One podcast. In this episode, we review the Spanish Grand Prix. And I'm joined by the last man standing, the one and only Thomas J. Camp. How you doing, mate?
I'm giving you a bloody big clap there, Tommy T. That was an incredible intro right there.
Mate, I had a crack.
Scomo is in the bin, isn't he?
How you doing, mate?
I'm alright. I'm good, mate. It's 5 a.m. I'm bloody tired, exhausted, about 2 hours sleep. But hey, we're all good, mate. We're all good. What about yourself? Good weekend?
Yeah, good weekend.
What'd you do for the election?
I voted early because I live in a new electorate now.
Nice.
So I had to get it done, but I couldn't change my address in time. So
It's beyond. Your vote wouldn't have mattered down here anyway.
No, it did not. No, it did not. It was very, very set, wasn't it?
That was good. No, good. That's what we want.
Yep. Sorry for no episode last week.
Yes.
Everyone, just with everything that was going on in all of our lives, mostly James's fault, we reckon. He was overseas, gallivanting around Miami, and then
The Cayman Islands.
via the Caymans to go hang out with Freya, and then
Setting up some dodgy trust accounts, I think.
yeah, unfortunately, I think a 42-hour transit has seen the better of Jim, and he's a bit under the weather. So we'll have him next week.
Well, comrade, the people have spoken, so
Yeah,
this is what I want.
That's it. Let's see how
Actually,
this goes.
Fun fact, the last episode we did where it was just me and you, highest listened to episode ever.
There's something in that.
The
I think,
highest
Campy.
downloaded ever. So
Yeah.
let's see if we can get
If
that cracking again.
Listeners, this is the one that you should share with all of your friends. Get them all to download it. Steal your partner's phone, steal your dad's phone. Like, I don't care. Get kids' devices. Let's download this on every single platform we can. And make sure James knows that we are the two most important parts of this and not him.
Well, I'm a blue flag on this podcast, apparently.
That's my favourite nickname for you is the blue flag. I was pretty happy with that one. All right, well, let's just jump straight in, hey, and we can get to some news kind of afterwards. We'll start with James's favourite. It's definitely not my favourite because it means I've got to do homework, but it's my broadcast review.
How'd you go?
I didn't watch a lot of it, if I'm honest, as always. I tuned in a bit earlier for quali and for the race. I did notice that they're trying some new, very modern techniques. We've got a drone running around now, and it's crap.
Yeah, compared to a helicopter, it's the same sort of thing, but just a bit smaller.
And trash. So the lens they're using is way more fish-eyed and further back.
Yeah.
It's not stabilized.
Can't keep
It
up.
looks useless. It cannot keep up. If you're not going to bother getting a helicopter, I don't want to see it. I'd rather not.
Reminds me of the heli shot that we saw in the Japan 1990 review that we did way back.
Yeah, that's right. It does. I think I prefer the Japan helicopter crack though. It was just average. I think they're trying something new. I like that idea, but it wasn't executed well. It felt like they just asked a kid who had a drone that was sitting at the track if he wanted to have a go at driving it because it looked useless. I also saw a cameraman spin his camera after a pit stop. So your whole frame, your whole TV spun around to mimic like a wheel gun. None of that crap, please. We don't need this. I just want to watch a pit stop. I don't want to be on a roller coaster. I just want to sit on my couch and watch F1. Thank you.
Give the people what
Liberty
they
Media,
want.
just settle down with this crap, mate. I don't know what we're doing.
It was like the drone was in 1080p too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't great quality, was it?
Well, they must be doing all right because they're sending it back to a world feed. I don't know how hard that is.
I like the idea, but there's way better drones out there. So like the WSL, the World Surfing Championship, they have drones, obviously, because that makes sense out over the water. Their quality is incredible. So they need to just lift their game, I think. The other issue they've got here is F1 cars kind of go fast. So you're going to need a drone that can keep up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we doing?
There's drones out there that can keep up, just probably not with all the gear strapped onto it.
That's the issue.
Just use a GoPro. Hero drone. Those things are sick, aren't they?
Yeah.
GoPro won't even exist anymore or go bankrupt.
Listen, we're showing our age here, Campy. I don't know if GoPro's still a thing. I don't know if GoPro is still the go-to thing. And the last one I have written down is a Brundle quote. Anger never seems to make you go forward. It only makes you go sideways or backwards. And I really enjoyed that. That was very prophetic almost. I think that was Confucius Brundle. Having a crack there.
Well, you had Max and Leclerc.
That's it. They were getting angry, weren't they?
You can see the difference in the two drivers right there in that saying they're going into what turn was it? 1, 2, 3. It's going into turn 4 up the back end of the circuit.
Yeah.
And the way Max controlled that slide, I mean, Leclerc admittedly swung at 180 and went in the gravel, but the way Max...
Do you mean Sainz? Didn't Sainz?
No, it was Leclerc.
I thought it was Sainz.
Oh, no, it was Sainz. Yeah, sorry. Leclerc was later.
Yeah.
No, he blew his engine up. Sorry.
Blew his engine. Yeah.
5 a.m. Yeah, just the way Max controlled that and didn't spin it around.
Well, he didn't lose as much as Carlos did. Carlos was properly buried, and lucky he didn't actually do that thing where they bury their car and they're just done.
Yeah.
Keep your momentum going.
Yeah.
But so, that's my kind of review on that. Any national anthem thoughts, Campy?
Oh, how was that string quintet?
Beautiful.
Quintet's 5, isn't it?
I'm going to go with yes.
Quartet would be 4, quintet would be 5.
I think you're
good
correct
logic
there.
there, Campy.
Yeah,
good logic.
Is.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. The funniest thing about it is there's 2 parts to the Spanish anthem.
I was going to ask you this. Why?
And it's the second, I don't know if it's the second verse or the second part of it that we don't normally hear.
Yeah.
Which throws everybody every time. So it's like you go in this nice upbeat Italian anthem.
Yep.
Da-da-da, da-da-da.
Yeah.
You know?
I was like, and it's short. I was like, I've loved this.
And then you go into the real, like, it was like something out of,
it's like a horror film.
war movie or something. Like, I was like, wow, this is.
It was dark.
It's good.
Yeah, I don't know why. So why is there 2 parts? I think it was.
Second verse, maybe?
I thought they said it was the other part of, they said Spain and, what is it? I'm going to sound like an idiot now, aren't I? Is it like another territory that they've now is part of Spain maybe, and they're including them in this part of the race?
Because we're all inclusive these days.
Listen, I'm sounding very ignorant right now, but I think that's what it was.
I have no idea. Sounded a bit like the Azerbaijani anthem. So.
It did, didn't it? I mean, I'm all for strings. I thought that was a nice choice.
I like that.
So we can see more of that. Did not see any aircraft whatsoever though.
Yeah. Well, we got the new drone, so that was a new flyover.
Based on that, given the flyover of bloody 1, that drone was crap.
Just love the Spanish lisp just for this one weekend.
Spanish lisp.
Barcelona. Sound like a 2-year-old when you say it. It's good.
It is great.
It's very good. Quality track. It's a good track.
I think the broadcast, other than that, was pretty spot on. I think I'm going to give that a 7. I think that's nothing really to complain about. I think the broadcast was solid. Everyone was good. We didn't get too many dud moments.
Can't
complain.
I know James doesn't like him, but I'm a big Paul DeResta fan.
Yeah, me too.
He just gets better and better and better.
I know what it is.
He's not JB, but no, there's not many people that are JB out there. JB's the sort of guy that's the heart and soul of the team.
Yeah.
He puts bums on seats.
I did see actually that Sky's running a contest and you can win a night out with all of the Sky people, but they're using JB as the poster boy of who you get to have dinner with. I was like, I'd do that too.
How good would that be?
That would be great.
I'll just get straight on Uncle Johnny and just...
Oh, would you just stand over Uncle Johnny, wouldn't you?
Give him a noogie.
That's great.
Yeah, very good.
All right.
We've got some news in the paddock.
Yeah.
Lots of news this weekend. This is the test track. Basically, they do thousands and thousands of laps here over their career. So it is the best track that is suited to upgrades and testing out for the whole. You've got, 3 very different parts of the circuit. So upgrade city this weekend, that Aston Martin, the green Red Bull.
The green Red Bull.
What do you reckon? Talk through that.
Well,
conspiracies with Tommy.
First off, this team has a track record, so that's kind of hard not to bring into it, isn't it? It looks pretty uncannily the same. And whether they've copied or not, I think Red Bull's thing is like, you've definitely copied, but have you got inside information to help your copy is the issue there. Because I could look at your car and decide that I really like your rear end plates and start to mimic those through photographs. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I turn up with that in a month, you could argue that's not enough time, even with photos and all that kind of stuff, to do that because of how it works. End plates are a bit more simple. What we're talking about is a full side of the car, that whole panel.
From front to back.
The pods, the floor, where it all connects is all new. It is it's basically like they're calling it a B-spec car because it's that revolutionary to the original design that Aston Martin have had.
Still slow, admittedly. No, it's not. It wasn't too bad in the race.
So maybe they did just copy off photos, but I think Red Bull's contention is that there's not enough time passed from when you first saw this car to being able to have a working design.
Which probably says they were working on it for a long time. That's what the FIA has come out and said. The FIA has known about Aston Martin's two-pronged approach, two-car approach for this year, which could be really revolutionary if you've got the money, but we now
try two ideas. Yeah.
Well, we've got a budget cap, so I don't know how
that seems
works.
a bit...
This budget cap's all shit. As I've explained in the purpose, there are so many loopholes and ways around spending more money. You just outsource the work to another organisation through your head company
and then pay $100 for it.
It's like, give me
when they have
on
an
paper,
idea.
I mean, they've invested realistically, $10 million and then paid $100.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's just, look.
I think Christian Horner's other point was that there has been a few key people leave Red Bull for Aston Martin. I think someone high up in the aerodynamics part of Red Bull as well. So
that was in the end of last year, and they've had some guys move across this year too.
Yeah. So obviously this car was in development probably up to 3 years ago when we were originally going to change to these new regulations. That was obviously delayed. So there was probably some work being done. So whether some of that IP has moved physically is kind of what Red Bull's saying is the biggest issue here.
I just can't wait for the next Lawrence Stroll, buddy.
Oh, please.
What do you call it? Press release or video press release?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to come out on the front foot. But
read off a teleprompter.
Hey, I'll give it to Red Bull and the marketing team behind there to put Christian Horner making him drink green Red Bull cans all weekend is that is as good as it gets right there.
They are a very good marketing company.
They are the sort of things that just, I mean, we would joke about that.
Yeah, but they've made it happen.
Workplace with people just chit-canning each other. But no, they were very good. Very impressed.
That is.
McLaren.
Complete new car, but doesn't seem to have done much, has it?
Well, we'll get that into the race.
Yeah,
I mean,
like you said, I think that every car pretty much had something, and we can kind of just gloss over that, can't we? Except for the Haas team. They brought no upgrades, but still managed to get both people into the third part of quali, which is pretty impressive. So
Schumacher running fifth early on in the race too. How good was that?
It was looking good for a sec there, wasn't it?
Dropped back admittedly, but
it was. Yeah.
Very impressed.
It was. All right, well, let's jump into qualifying now that we've kind of got there.
Well, what about FP1, mate? We need to talk about these.
No Oscar.
No Oscar. Well, I know Oscar in FP1.
It seems like the logical one, but maybe
he's just better than that. Maybe it's not Yuri Vips in a Red Bull and he doesn't need to be there. I wasn't that impressed with Yuri Vips.
No.
But hey, you got to drive an F1 car at Barcelona. A Red Bull, the fastest car in the world. So
it's been mandated now that Oscar will have to have two, I think it is, FP1. So it'll come, whether it's, we just want to see it. We're just itching to see him get in that car. But, I mean, we'll just have to be patient because maybe it'll be Spa and then we'll be happy about that. I doubt it'll be Spa.
Well, there's some rumours about him going around online that he's, don't deal with Williams for next year. They'll get rid of Latifi.
If I was Williams, I would.
Latifi's been rubbish this year.
Well,
he's been the most. That car's crap.
But zoom out and pretend we don't know Oscar as an Australian. On paper, you've got who's a young guy who's won 3 championships on the trot, and now has had a year out of the car because there's no spots. Who isn't taking a 3-time on the trot champion who hasn't had to go yet?
Especially
that's like a number 1 draft pick in any sport you would take in a second.
Well, the guys to do it, Max didn't do it, but because they plucked him out of F3, Leclerc did it. George Russell did
George, yeah.
There's someone else that did it too, which I can't.
They're the ones you take, and
why he's not in
you'd
that?
be crazy not to give him a 2-year contract and just see how it goes. Like, that is the best possible young driver out there. If you take a different rookie than him, given the opportunity, you are crazy.
Yeah.
You are crazy because that guy has so much potential and a track record of just winning. That's all he has.
Yeah.
His professional career is winning.
Just wins.
That's all he does.
And nice on a car.
Yeah, that's it. So I think we'll see him sooner than later, but I think I'm interested to see if that does happen.
Well, he'll get a drive. He'll get a drive.
Can you imagine if that does happen and then down the track he ends up being a champion and Alpine have let him go?
Well, that would be an Alpine.
Kicking yourself because you're stuck with Ocon.
Would be an Alpine thing to do.
Very Alpine thing to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
for sure.
But what do you do? I just don't want him to turn into a Stoffel Van Dorn
and just miss your opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about being in a car and driving every day, and being on track, whether it be F2, 3, go kart. I mean, go karts is not really comparable, but there's something about being behind a wheel of the sort of machinery that you're driving.
For sure.
And I don't think simulators do the same thing. And game playing at home, well, Oscar's not on that.
It keeps your reflex and stuff sharp, but it's not the same. Like, it's not, the fitness side of things is not comparable.
Yeah, you don't have no feel.
Nah.
It's like typing a letter or writing a letter.
Yeah, there's no like physical force being generated. I think we've got to trust our mate Mark as well in that situation as his management to be leading him in the right direction as well.
Well, interesting. Now that you bring up Mark, good segue there, Tommy. This isn't on the notes, but Danny Rick is now the most capped driver.
Yep.
For Australia in Formula One. So, if you were to look at Webber's career now and Danny Rick's career where it's at the moment, who would you take?
Whose career would I take?
Yeah.
Or which driver would I want to employ in my team?
Well,
they're two kind of different things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, because I think Daniel is a more skilled driver. I think Danny at his peak, whether his peak is still around and he's just been unfortunate, we don't know. But
yes, it is for our listeners out there.
Yeah.
I say that. I'm not sure I put money on it at the moment,
but I don't know. I think Mark was very unlucky with his situations too. Like, he was a championship quality driver at that time, but there was always someone preferenced over him, like when Sebastian was there. Those kind of things. It's very hard, isn't it?
It's funny for me because I'm looking at him. Mark Webber came on the scene as big news as Danny Ricciardo did in 2014 when we still weren't sure about Danny Rick when he went to Red Bull in 2014. Came out and won 3 races that year.
Yeah.
Beating a 4-time world champion consistently and overwhelmingly. And Seb ultimately moved on because of it. Or I think he probably had one foot out the door. But Mark Webber burst onto the scene and he had comparisons to Michael Schumacher. That's how good Webber was.
Yeah.
Now, he made some really poor decisions early in his career, particularly to go to Williams and not go to the 2005-6 Renault team, which his manager was, running the team, Flavio, at the time.
Yeah.
But he had to do that. He had to do a 5-year sort of hiatus midfield.
And
the one thing he did do was consistently beat teammates all the time.
Yep.
And I've watched that 2010 World Championship like start to finish 3 times now. And I look at the names that Webber went up against.
Some pretty good guys.
Went deep to the last moment. You got Seb Vettel, 4-time world championship. Fernando Alonso, arguably the best of our generation.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton wasn't quite in it, but he was
Still right there.
Felipe Massa's on the grid at the time. You've got guys like Jenson Button.
Yeah.
There are some big names in our sport.
Yep.
And I think to Webber's credit, he was a guy, it's really strange. He went on and won his World Drivers' Championship with the Porsche in the WEC. And that year for me was tainted with a couple of accidents. He had a spin in the wet when he was leading in Korea, I believe. And probably should have won. He should have won that championship hands down. I think it probably would have given him the confidence to go on.
Yeah.
From that in that Red Bull era. But he took that to the last race, pit stops. He got shagged by his team that day. That was an absolute. But it was just, I mean, for me, Danny Ricks hasn't done that yet. He's not had the car to do it either.
Yeah, I mean, what's the best car you think Daniel's ever had? Do you think it was
2014 Red Bull?
Yeah, and he was a baby.
Yeah,
like he did really well, but he was a baby.
Yeah,
yeah, that was
It's a bit like George Russell coming into the top team this year.
As it declines.
Yeah. I mean, Webber had some massive performances in that car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all his wins except for one. So 8 of those wins came in a car that should never have really won a race on paper.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you could argue some of Daniel's wins are the same. Like,
oh, no, Monaco. No, sorry, I'm talking about Daniel. Danny Rick's Monaco win was like certified bona fide, as good as you get. I think his Monza win was like that too.
Yeah.
Mark Webber had some stellar drives at Monaco too, albeit in a car that was should have won. But for me, it's interesting now that he's reached that point. It was an interesting question for me because I think we forget.
We've got the same sample size now of races.
2010 for me was the year that Webber probably should have won the championship. He didn't. On his day, Webber, could beat those guys
it's
on his day.
Conversation.
But he never really had that consistency. He says it himself. It's the guys that go on not just to win one, but 2 and 3, the greats. On his day, he was there and he went deep. But Danny Rick's not there, and we're seeing at the moment he's getting his hand bloody handed to him. Yeah, ass handed to him from a younger driver. So interesting conversation. Tell us what you think.
I was going to say, if you've got any thoughts on that, make sure you reach out to us and hit us up on Instagram, and we'd love to hear thoughts, and maybe that's a conversation we'll pick up again later.
Yeah, with the crew.
Later on with the rest of the team. Yeah, for sure. Let's get into some qualifying, Campy.
Right.
Track limits. Young Lando missed out on improving his time and
could not care less.
I figured that would be your take. It happens a lot to Lando.
If there's any track in the world, these guys can go out on lap 1 and give it 110%. Barcelona is it.
It's true. Yeah.
They know where track limits are. Yes, they changed the corners a couple of years ago to change the angles. Who cares? Could not care. Get how much you're getting paid. Don't put it. Not on this track. You've got no excuses on this track.
Yeah, we've always had this stance about track limits. They're there. The line is the line. I don't care what your argument is. The line was crossed. There is an independent timing loop that has been crossed. That is not up for debate.
I can understand on a track like Mugello that we've been to once in the last 10 years, the guys are struggling to get right consistently. But on a track like Barcelona where
everyone knows.
They do.
You grew up on it.
What, they do 400, 500 laps pre-season and a race weekend there every year since we remember. Suck it up. Yeah. Move on.
It was very funny that he got a moment of celebration though and then was back down out of qualifying. But
it worked out for him.
It ended up working out, didn't it? Because you got to choose your strategy.
Well, look what happened when he had that fresh soft.
Yeah.
Just in the first
blitz through. Yeah.
Well, the 4 laps they need to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
From lap sort of 11 to 15.
Yeah.
He was far better off than Danny Rick, who started on that used tyre. And
this is reminding me of Renault a bit, and we'll get to that when we get to talk about McLaren a bit later. Alonso stuffing up his timing, thinking he had much less time than he did. That's just qualifying mismanagement. Do you blame the team?
Not the first time it's happened this year, though.
No, this is Renault stuff again.
Communication breakdown at the team somewhere.
Yeah.
Alonso's playing. He knows how to play the game. If there is issues, he's playing that game. The communication issues, I'll take the blame, blah, blah, blah. But there's something going on behind closed doors that he's probably trying to call out publicly.
Yeah.
We need to get better at this, get better.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to put the blame on him because he knows what he's doing. I'd much sooner give the incompetence to the team there because we've seen it before many a time with Daniel getting put out too late and all this kind of thing. So
Oh,
I think you'd back Alonso here and go, that guy knows what he's doing. I wouldn't blame him.
Otmar's there now. It should be better.
Yeah.
Otmar's good. He's been on the grid
Yeah,
for a long
you're
time.
not a rookie, Otmar. Yeah. This next one, do you think Max would have actually got pole if he wasn't forced to back out because of a powertrain issue? Do you think he had the raw pace for quali?
Yeah, he was on track.
I mean, that Leclerc laps was incredible.
Yeah,
that was a great lap.
Yeah. Yep.
To improve by nearly 1.5 seconds, I think it was on his previous best in qualifying.
Yeah, which tells me there's some engine modes or there's some.
But that's not allowed anymore, Camper.
It's not an engine mode.
It's not a mode.
It's a setting now, Tommy G. Come on. And Ferrari. And how's Ferrari coming out questioning the cost-cutting caps of Red Bull? It's like,
settle down. You guys.
Come on.
It's because Ferrari waste their money.
Yeah.
And they just paint everything red instead of actually making it go faster.
Yeah.
It's hard to know, isn't it?
I think he would have. If you look at every qualifying session, 90% of the time they improve from their first lap in Q1. From their first lap in Q3 and their second lap. So I can't see why he wouldn't improve. And he was on track to improve before he.
Well, funny thing, Charles Leclerc now has, I think this is his 12th or 13th pole, which is equivalent to Max. Max, however, has 24 wins. Leclerc does not have anywhere near that. I think he's sitting around like 5 or 6 wins, something like that.
Leclerc hasn't had the car to win. How many races Leclerc won?
But he's had pole that many times. He's had pole the same amount of times as Max now. So this just tells me that Max is a racer and Leclerc is very fast with everyone out of his way in a qualifying lap.
Look at Gasly last year. And I'm not trying to rag on him, but they had a car over one lap that was exceptional.
Yep.
The race pace on it was pretty rubbish, but because of that one lap speed, that helped him gain a lot of small points because he could, because he had big gaps to his rivals.
Yeah, and in the previous regulations, you could just sit and park your car in the way and no one could get past you because you'd throw that much dirty air behind you, no one could even get close. These new regulations, that's not really working as well as it used to. We're seeing you can pass. You usually can't pass around Barcelona, can you?
No, there was a lot of passing last night.
So this was the one where we were waiting for to see if on-track passing was going to be good because of these cars, and it delivered.
Yep.
So I think well done to Braun and the team. They've done well there, I think.
Oh, no, not Braun GP. You're talking about Ross Braun.
Ross Braun.
Star.
He is a star. I think well done to them. Like this is exactly what we've kind of been asking for is like we want to see some wheel to wheel. We want to see you be able to get back in a fight. We don't want to see you have to take 2 laps off to let your tires recover again before you can get back in and your car kind of cool down. So they delivered on what we've asked for. I think exceptional. And now we just want to get some more interesting tracks and we want to see different winners all the time. We want to see different podiums, I think. It's the biggest thing.
It's 2-horse race. I mean, it's not even, if you look at Red Bull over a race distance are going to beat Ferrari every time. It just depends how long it's going to take them to get in front.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get to that.
It ain't going to happen at Monaco.
Yeah.
If Leclerc puts it or Sainz puts it on pole.
Yep. Well, I don't know. I think Leclerc's a bit cursed at Monaco, and I'm going to maintain that's my favourite stance, is that he will never do well. He'll never get a point at Monaco. The Monegasque will never get a point at Monaco. That is my new George Russell will never get a point.
Love that. Love that.
And very finally, we saw Schumacher get through to the third part of quality for the first time.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well done. Haas had good performing car over one lap this weekend.
Yeah.
Albeit 6.5 tenths off his teammate.
Yeah.
And timing, look, I can handle. If you're within 2 tenths or a tenth if your teammate, a tenth and a half's the limit.
That's a tight limit there.
Or a tenth and a half is like, you're racing a teammate, that is the best measuring stick.
Yep.
6.5 tenths doesn't lie. Yes, he's beaten him a couple of times in qualifying this year, but K-Mag's had some issues. I'm still not sold on Schumacher. He's getting better. And this year, I think there's a fight for him there. Last year, he dominated.
He just turned up.
Mazepin.
He'd just turn up and he had a guaranteed win, basically.
Yeah, this year's very different, and I think he's got something between his teeth. He's having a crack this year.
Yeah.
And all good on him, but 6.5, 10, that's a massive gap.
We want to see him succeed. We think it'd be great for the sport. We like him. He seems like a likable guy.
Name's not everything, though. Name's,
And I think
might have got you into the sport.
Oh, I'm definitely getting frustrated about them talking about Michael Schumacher in every breath when referring to his son. Just let him be who he is.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I do understand it. And you probably get this as well because your dad's a bloody legend and you're who you are, obviously. Everyone wants to talk about your dad.
Oh, the underperforming son. Jeez.
Nah, you're not underperforming. Your dad's just a legend.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the great men. But
I don't get noticed in my own backyard, and I'm all right with that.
But it would be frustrating as a young driver constantly being referred to as the son of the greatest driver of all time. And in every breath, it's just always, Michael Schumacher's son. And Michael was a 6-time winner around Barcelona and all these kind of things constantly. It's like, we just talk about how I'm doing? And like, because they never refer to how his career's going. It's always like in reference to Michael. Here's a fact I can throw about Michael or Michael.
I think that's TV land coming into it.
Yeah.
They need to dumb it down so that to the point where we don't know a red car's Ferrari or a blue car's an Alpine or whatnot. That's how dumbed down some of these.
I know.
That frustrates me. You need to imagine if you just let Brundle.
Oh.
I mean, Brundle's classic. He's one of the great communicators of our sport.
Yep.
Where he can take you through a lap and dumb it down to the point where you know what's happening and the knowledge.
But we still enjoy it and get something from it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like poetry in motion. But I can guarantee you in TV land and even radio land commentary, they are dumb this down so that if viewers never watched this before, they have a full understanding. And that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's 1,000% what it is. So,
I mean, he's doing all right. We want to see him do well. I think it would be tough dealing with that shadow kind of cast over your whole career from the start. You're always kind of being compared. So if he can deal with that and start to make a name for himself, I think.
Look at someone like Carlos.
Yeah.
His old man's a jet.
Yeah, he is.
Probably cooler than Carlos.
Yeah.
Carlos.
Imagine if Carlos did get pole and got presented the fastest. Got presented the pole tire trophy or whatever it was by his own dad. That would have been a great moment.
Look, I might have to eat some humble pie here, but I don't think Carlos is performing as well as I'd hoped he would.
Yeah.
That's 10 on the trot to Leclerc now, qualifying.
He's a good qualifier, though. We know this.
Well,
it's not a surprise that Leclerc's qualifying well. He always did well in qualifying.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We can get to that now, actually. Why don't we jump into the race?
Yeah.
We can talk about.
I know the Discord was talking about why Danny Rick only did one lap in Q3. Because he shit the bed on his first lap in Q1. And when you do that, you waste a set of tyres.
Yep.
You've got to come out for a second run in Q3, which ultimately, in Q1. So if you do 2 laps in Q1, your tyre allocation stuff, you need to have one run in Q1 to guarantee that second run.
And because they were anticipating a 3-stop here, so tyres were everything.
Yep.
So it wasn't worth it. For him to maybe get 7th was not going to be a net positive in comparison to having a fresh set of tyres for use in the race.
Yeah. For him.
Yeah, exactly.
For McLaren this weekend.
For this situation.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So no, it makes sense. It is frustrating, obviously, because you would like to see him have a crack at it and see how high he could have got. That's just kind of selfish from us. But I think that was the best strategy, was there just to take your lumps and have the fresh tyre in the bank waiting for the race.
Danny Rick's got to get better in qualifying, though.
Yep.
Particularly in Q3. He's scraping. He's making Q3s, which is good, but he's scraping through.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, moving on.
It's like he just doesn't have that last 5% of confidence in that car to just throw it in like he has in previous years.
There's been some stuff on the internet about him retiring, and like someone asked, I mean, it's crap. I mean, Seidel actually hinted in an interview that they had a real long-term game with Danny Rick, because it's clear this car is not the car that he wants.
No, it's not how he likes to drive.
No. Anyway.
Yeah. It's something we
should
can
we talk about that when we get to McLaren, or should we just get it out of the way because it was so
let's
dismal?
talk about McLaren, because to be honest, they didn't do that well, and they're going to be brought up sooner or later.
What the fuck happened on that first stint for Danny Rick? Ugh.
It was poor.
It got squeezed on the start.
Yep.
He should. I mean,
he made one place, I think, but he should have made more than that.
Yeah, but Hamilton and Magnussen went off, so he lost a place and got back in front of him.
Yeah.
The thing was telling for me, he couldn't get past Schumacher.
Yep.
Couldn't keep up with him all race long. And as his tyres wore off, Lando Norris caught him by 3 seconds and then gapped him by 3 seconds in the space of 2 laps.
Yep.
Which tells me that McLaren's probably nursing some issues. And I'd say, look at back to testing. And they had some real issues. It wasn't that test, was it? They were good in the Barcelona test earlier on.
Yeah, they were. And it was when they went to
Abu Dhabi that they had the problems. Look, he's definitely nursing something in the car, or he's just trying to eke out those 2 or 3 laps out of those soft tyres
which wasn't worth it in the end, was it?
Well, he just lost so much time. Then they put him onto another set of softs, and something wrong with this car and tyres. I hate this tyre talk, but we need to sort this shit out. I hate the drop off in. Just give something these guys can throw. It's like IndyCar.
Yep.
120% every single lap.
Yeah. That's what we want to see. I don't want to see lift and coast. I don't want to see
why are we always managing tyres? Yeah. To me, it's crap. I don't like it. I don't want to see it.
Because it's a net faster race time, but we don't actually get to see fast laps every lap.
Yep.
Until the end of the race when someone's like, oh, I want to get fastest lap. Yep. And they go into, because they've net gained a whole pit stop on someone so that they can go chuck on a set and just rip around like we saw Lewis do and we saw Perez do.
Yep.
Like, that to me is not what fastest lap should be.
No.
I want to see fastest lap come in also with wheel-to-wheel racing, and not just like, oh, I'm just going to like sit back here, take a new set and just try and put in a fastest lap. It's kind of anti-competitive in the wrong way, in my opinion. It should be, fastest lap should be in the flow of a race.
Yeah. Look, I think F1's moved in the right direction this year with the ground effect cars and following and passing. It's getting better and better. I don't think they're ready to touch tyres yet. Once they touch tyres and mandatory pit stops, mandatory 2 or 3 stops across the race, brings jeopardy into it.
Yep, that's it.
Brings more human element into it. I don't care if you can run a whole race on one set of tyres.
Yep.
Couldn't care less.
Cool. You still have to stop.
Let's go back to 05, 06 where it's like just 2 compounds.
Yep.
The option and the prime.
Yep.
And flat out as hard as you can go. Yes, one's faster than the other.
Yep.
And there's a drop off, but you could do a whole race on one set of tyres realistically. And it wouldn't matter. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
Take this shit out of it.
I agree.
I mean, we've had it for too long now. And
it's been around for a long time, hasn't it?
All right. So what about Lando? How do you reckon he go? I think McLaren are in no man's land. I think
they're just floating, aren't they?
I think the upgrades they bought were probably good upgrades. But their car is a very track-specific car.
Which is, I can't believe McLaren's gone down that track. Like, they were such a every track kind of car in the previous iteration to now be this kind of knife edge. It's good one week, it's bad the other week. It's just bizarre choice of car design.
Yeah, it's weird. They're a quality organisation, and they should have been primed to make the jump that Ferrari did this year.
Yep.
But something's gone wrong along the process. They've taken it. I mean, if it's a straight line from development of the car to the fastest car on the grid, you're never going to get it. But they've taken a couple of wrong turns that have put them back months, setbacks wise, which there's until you get a car on track.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're saying.
If we were buying theoretical stocks in one of these Formula One teams, McLaren would have been one of your best bets, wouldn't it? Based on how that organisation runs, the leadership, the personnel that they've brought in, exactly, the drivers, that team is put together so well and positioned to be really good. unfortunately, they cannot get a car to work how it needs to in unison with those drivers as well. Like Lando's been doing fine, I think, considering that car. I think you'd think he's having a good season.
Got a pass mark, yep.
Yeah, he's ticking that box. Daniel is, to be honest, let's be honest, disappointing this year. We were expecting more. Like we were hoping for more than this and closer to your teammate as a minimum.
He has been pretty close this weekend.
Yeah, he's had some very unlucky situations as well.
He's been, as I said in the last podcast, I think he's probably been more often than not this year faster than Lando. He just needs to sort that quality out by a tenth and a bit.
And like he's kind of the opposite of Leclerc, isn't he? Where his qualifying's never been his strongest suit, but he's a racer.
I still believe that he's the same driver he was in Red Bull and went into Renault, particularly that second year in Red Bull. He's still that driver.
Yeah.
But the car's just not there.
Yeah. And however they've set it up is we saw this with Seb, to be honest, as well, with new regulations. Seb was dominating in that car and then some regulation changes happened.
Yeah. Turbo hybrid.
And he was like, I don't like this. I just don't like the way this feels. This is not how I race. And maybe it's one of those things. It's just it's an era change, and you've got these young drivers who have just adapted really well to this new style.
I refuse to say Lando's better than him. Look, that's not what
I'm not trying to get you to say that either because I don't believe it either.
I'm not going to say it. Lando still hasn't done anything for me. So anyway, we keep getting back on McLaren.
I mean, because we're biased, obviously. I think if we're working,
it's hard to watch as a fan.
It's tough, isn't it? Because there's no glimmer of like, oh, we can take this positive out of it. There's like, well, that was average. You're trying to look for positives all the time. And
it's a bit like the election. You can, like, we know it's going to be a shit show for the next 3 years, and it's just like, well, how bad's it going to get? But at least there's light at the end of the tunnel, you know. It might be 3 years away.
It's not forever. Is that your thought?
Well, I mean,
it's only for 3 years.
Maxed out on debt, massive inflation, and and I fucking blame you dickheads for voting for him. Well, I didn't vote for him. But anyway, but Danny Rick, it doesn't.
Didn't you vote Greens, Campy, down in your election?
No, I voted our local chick down here, Zoe. She's a star, actually. She'll be a future PM one day, so I was even handing out for her this week, Tommy.
Yeah, mate, you are...
Anyway, we're off track.
You're in. Okay, let's get to Williams. I think they were...
Yeah. Rubbish.
They were rubbish, weren't they?
Yep.
Didn't see much of them.
Nope.
There's not really much to report, really.
Latifi's... this could be his last year in F1 for me.
He needs to get like a points finish. He needs to do something interesting to kind of get his name back in that recognition. Because if you're a team looking, because Williams is always looking as well. Like we've heard that Williams is interested in maybe even a young Oscar, maybe even a Daniel. I've heard as well. That might be another thing. So. But Williams is always looking, is what I'm saying.
If Williams thinks they can get Daniel,
but let's just say Williams is always looking. So if you're another team, are you going to take a flyer on Latifi, or is he kind of showing you what you need to see?
Well, unless Latifi does some Stroll-like moments.
Yeah.
In his Stroll's first few.
Yeah, where he really shows potential.
I don't think. I
don't think we've seen anything so far. We hope he does because he's a likable character in F1, but very underwhelming season so far, I think.
Yeah.
Albon has had moments this year. Not today, obviously. Not yesterday. But he has had moments this year. He's had a couple of points. He's done some alternate strategy kind of things. And we've seen Albon at his best. He's had some really good moments when he was challenging for podiums and things like that. But you just wonder if that car is...
Well, it's got a Merc engine in it too.
So that's...
Merc engine cars are not good at the moment. McLaren is the best Merc. Engine car, and it is terrible at the moment.
Yep.
Not even the Mercedes Works team's doing that well.
Yep.
So, for them, that's tough to have a Mercedes. If they had a Ferrari engine, could be a very different story. But I think this is more about engines this year.
Yeah.
The chassis will catch up.
I was watching with Dad last night and we were just talking about it. I was just like, this is the start of a new regulation. Yeah. There is so much left to be discovered with these regulations and these rules. Right now, there's like It'd be like an Easter egg hunt.
Yep.
There's all the Easter eggs haven't been found yet. When we get to the end of regulations, there's 1 or 2 eggs left to be found, and everyone's trying to find them.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find those last little bits. Whereas right now, you're just grabbing all this kind of like fresh development.
Yep.
There's lots of improvement on the table still. So unfortunately, if you've got a Merc, there's meat on the table. Unfortunately, if you've got a Merc engine right now, you just got your hand behind your back.
Yep.
That's just how it is, and those teams are seeing that, which is kind of unfortunate because Haas, who started quite well with a Ferrari engine and have been performing somewhat better, found themselves at the back. Yes, we had an incident early on.
Yeah, K-Mag was trying to make a move on Lewis around the outside at turn 4.
I mean, we saw it was just ruled a racing incident. What was your thought on that?
K-Mags was like, Lewis knew exactly what he was doing there. I don't think Lewis tried to do it. I think he just oversteered a bit. Cold tyres, first lap, racing incident. You'd never call it. Unfortunate for Magnussen because I think he could have gone on to have a really good race.
Yeah.
We saw Schumacher up in P5. If Magnussen was in P5, he would have been, he would have been able to put up a better fight than what Schumacher did.
Definitely.
So a bit of a shame for him, but that's motorsport.
Yeah, it just looked like they were wheel to wheel for most of that. I think K-Mag was entitled to that outside line, and Lewis can't just take over the track if he wants to just because he's slightly ahead.
Well, he's in head and he's on the optimum racing line.
Yeah,
so going around the outside's always ballsy.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
But then if you look at the Verstappen move on Bottas around the outside, Bottas is a gentleman driver.
He is.
And he knows when to pick a fight. Lap 1 is not when to do that, though. So
that's it.
K-Mag, aggression's great, love it, but just he needs a bit of wisdom, right? Was it worth writing off your race for? Totally.
Unfortunately. And then we can quickly talk about that. Lewis's comments of like, well, should we just retire the car and save an engine?
He's in a dark place, isn't he?
Mate, well, when you end up 4th and that was what you said after 3-4 laps.
Yeah.
You wanted to retire the car and you ended up just short of a podium, mate.
Yeah.
Just stop being such a sook, pal. Just brighten up.
Oh, that's the Lewis.
He's in a dark spot though, isn't he? I mean, should we jump there because there's a natural segue? Let's do it.
Yeah,
why not?
Fine.
Let's just break the rules. It's our podcast. We can do what we want.
Yeah.
He's in a dark spot. I think he is the big dog, and there's this young pup come in who's got a bit of skill and kind of showing him up a little. Yeah. He's similar to like the Daniel situation, to be honest. There's a lot of similarities. Obviously, Lewis is Lewis. Very, very different kind of career, all those kind of things. But it would be so frustrating because he hasn't had it in his career like this before where there is a young driver outperforming him and he doesn't have the answers, it seems. He's very frustrated with that car and what it's doing. You can see that.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much frustration with the car. What if I'm him? What's the point in even racing this year? I mean, he got absolutely shafted last year on that World Championship, and that was supposed to get him most wins, most championships, and his legacy was cemented beforehand. But in his mind, that was him being firmly cemented. This is me. I'm Lewis Hamilton. Blah blah.
Yep.
And for it to go down, gutting for him. But then the worst part is, you would think this year he would have been coming back chomping between his bit.
Oh, let's go again. Yep.
But I can guarantee you, after the first time he got in that car, after the first 2 laps of getting into that car at testing, he just would have been like, oh no.
And he got out with a concussion from all that porpoising.
Oh no, what a shit! What has happened?
Yeah.
How did we go from here to here? I'm on top, and he blew some chances too. I mean, he lost the championship to Rosberg.
Yeah.
And it's bad luck to happen to him that year. But I mean, look, he'd be gutted. A dark place. He's still a competitor. He's still a driver.
Yeah.
I think he genuinely loves driving.
He pulled back to 4th today, which is impressive.
Good drive. And you look at you look at the circuit times, it'll be interesting to see because he
had some belting laps in there.
Pantsed. Like, that's the sort of drive Lewis can do. Right?
Yeah. Well,
I don't think Russell's.
If he didn't have an incident, you'd say he was a better better driver today than Russell. And
Well, he would have had to get in front of Russell.
for sure.
But his pace suggested that he
could.
pantsed him over a race distance.
Exactly.
But Russell's in a different place too because he's going, oh, sweet, Max Verstappen can't pass me. Otherwise, for his race pace, he'd just let him pass. But no, when Max was having his issues with DRS, I mean, he's wasting a whole set of tyres, working his ass off to keep Verstappen behind him because he's going, geez, if I can keep him behind the whole race. Then
And I suppose Hamilton can point to at least 2 other incidents this season already where George has just been luckier than him with track position and safety car timing and things. So I think the biggest thing is the qualifying one where George is actually qualifying really well. And they used to call him Mr. Saturday, didn't they?
Well, it's 3-3.
Yeah, but I would have picked Lewis straight out. I would have thought he would have had the qualifying measure because we've seen him be outstanding in qualifying for so long.
It's funny. I've watched that 2016 World Championship with Rosberg.
Yeah.
And even 14, the one I've rewatched, Danny Rick's 3 wins that year. Lewis against Rosberg wasn't the greatest. Rosberg was bloody quick and 50-50 in qualifying, really.
Yeah, right.
A lot of the time. Just because we saw 5 years of him in Valtteri.
Yeah.
And he managed to pull these laps out that Valtteri couldn't at times. I mean,
best car of the decade there, though.
Yeah, but you get the idea that Lewis is a one-lap god when in reality, when he's...
Yeah, when you zoom out and see the whole career.
Yeah, he's actually not as good as we once thought he had been over Valtteri Bottas. But, interesting. I mean, for me, Lewis going 50-50 in qualifying doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But it sucks at this time of year. If it was them 2 up the front, then that's a different fight. Lewis doesn't care if he comes second.
Yeah.
Because he knows he'll dominate him over a race distance. So, look, it's who knows?
Very interesting. All right, well, let's get to the green Red Bulls. It didn't really work out for them, did it? Didn't end up where they wanted. We ended up with Stroll in 15th, and we had Vettel in 11th, so just outside the points.
Worse than McLaren for a first outing in a car on a race weekend with a new spec car.
Yeah,
pretty good.
That's a good way to put it. Actually,
showed some pace at times.
It did.
We didn't get it. Last night's race was interesting because there was 3 stops and the strategies were so different. Everyone was running a bit longer.
Yeah,
everyone was out of sync of each other. At times, you thought, "Oh, geez, Seb's doing well."
Yeah,
geez,
and then someone still had to pit, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah," and then you missed it. So, look, I think for their first weekend in that B spec car, good on them.
Yeah,
they need to try something because what they had before was
it was useless.
Was a heaper.
Yeah,
bit like that Volkswagen Golf you drive, Tommy.
It gets the job done, mate. But it'll be interesting to see what the response is from Aston Martin, like you said, from Lawrence, as well, and see what they say about this copying accusations, and because Red Bull are going to stay on this. We trust Christian Horner for one thing, and that is to absolutely drag this for as long as it can be dragged.
The problem is they got form.
Yeah.
So if they've done it once, they can do it again.
That's the issue, isn't it?
If it happens a third time, you'll be like, geez, boys. Come on.
And it does also strike me as something a shrewd kind of businessman would do is well, that's the competition that's doing well. Why don't we just do that as well? It's the logic's there.
Lawrence Stroll's, he's made his fortune in a lot of things, but Tommy Hilfiger and clothing companies is one of them. So that is a whole industry which is copying everyone else. And I mean, they don't set trends, those brands. Yeah. I wouldn't know.
They see it somewhere else and they just adapt. Yeah.
Do you wear Tommy Hilfiger polos or what?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know, but anyway, that's the way he does business and that's the way it flies. That's
very
all right.
Interesting. Speaking of another high-end fashion brand, this is your high-end fashion brand, the AlphaTauris. We had Sonoda getting a point and Gasly in 13th.
Yeah, look, Sonoda's, this year, this second year.
I'm a fan.
Wow. Yeah, I'm a fan too.
Yeah.
He reminds me of that little dude off Ocean's 11. The dude from Cirque du Soleil, that little.
He's Chinese, firstly.
That's what Yuki looks like. They're the same size.
Just because he's small.
Little pocket
it's more the
rockets.
height. You asking Yuki to do some backflips, just to see the comparison.
Right, I'll pull that up.
It is a good film. I'll give you that.
Yeah, hey, good on Sonoda.
Do you just like mostly that someone's beating Gasly? Is that the main thing you like here?
Just over time, it just tells me over time I'm right about most things.
I'm never wrong. Just not enough time has elapsed for me to be right yet.
Yeah. No, I must admit, I had this moment the other day. I was like, everything I want to happen in F1 and just not happening. It's wrong. I'm on the wrong side of everything. What is wrong with me?
The prophet lost it. Freya's the prophet now.
Never a prophet. Freya's not a prophet.
Freya's the prophet now. I'm pretty sure she's the certified prophet because you've lost everything.
Is she?
Yeah.
Well, she looks better than the four of us, so
not hard, mate.
There you go.
Not hard at all.
Jim would take offense to that.
Gasly, interesting. Kind of in no man's land. I was expecting more qualifying out of him.
He's had a couple of weekends like this year too. So.
But then he has a few again where he's just like sneaking into 5th or 6th. Yeah.
No, I had to say it's a track they do a lot of laps, and Yuki's one of those dudes who we know likes that lot of laps. So anyway,
yeah, for sure.
Good on him. Stoked for him.
Yeah.
Don't know about the ads they're doing on the F1 app though. When you try and watch a video,
I haven't seen it. What is it? Really?
Male model.
Is that because I didn't hire you this time, mate?
Well, I'll give him my number. I'll
put
it on the website.
A couple of trench coats and see how you go.
Yeah.
We've already talked about McLaren. Let's jump to Alpine.
Yeah.
They had some pace early. Ocon was moving through the pack.
Yeah.
He flew past Daniel.
Yep.
And same with our boy Nando.
Yeah.
From the back, who took an engine penalty.
Yeah.
Well,
because of the mistake, because of the communication issue in qualifying, why not?
Why not? Drop a couple of places, and it ended up working out well because he ended up in 9th and Ocon in 7th. So I think Alonso had the way better drive, by the way, coming all the way through the back markers.
So totally.
Dominated.
But you can't fault Ocon for what he did either.
Pretty solid, but that car just looked so much faster than everything out there for like the first third of that race, didn't it?
Imagine if DR was in that car.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, we know what he did to Ocon.
Imagine that driver pairing with Alonso and Daniel.
That'd be
a couple of old blokes.
That'd be godlike.
It would be.
Imagine Danny Rick just giving him shit.
And Nando going, what? He's just not understanding. It's like, I don't understand. Are you being funny? He's a very serious guy.
He is. I met that dude South Bank once.
Yeah?
Like, he was there with his wife. I walked up to him and said, can I get a photo? And he's like, yeah, mate, no worries. It's totally, and then 400 people. He took a photo with everyone and then just did his thing. So, good guy. Anyway.
He's a good guy.
Just not to his teams when they run GP2 engines.
GP2 engines. Our main man, the adopted Australian, who's doing quite well at the moment in Alfa Romeo.
It's good.
We had Joe retire. We don't know exactly what it was, but it was something to do with the powertrain.
Yeah, it was for our second Ferrari powertrain.
Yeah, this weekend, wasn't it?
It was a new engine too, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
For sure. Same as Leclerc, 2 races old.
Not what you want.
Nope.
Not ideal, but at least it was get home mode and it didn't just blow itself to bits and leave it in 1,000 pieces across the track. So that's okay. But Bottas has been on absolute peak form, hasn't he?
What did we expect?
He's a star.
What did we expect?
Yeah.
We knew that the dude's super capable and whatever team he went to, he'd be a leader and he'd be doing results like this. Unfortunately for him, he's in an Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
And he's not in a, I mean, it's good to see him in P4, 5, 6, but it's not where he wants to be.
I was hoping he could hang on to 3rd. You know what, Dad and I would, that sounds bad, but it's on brand for me. I was watching when George went to do his last pit stop. I was like, hope that wheel gun sticks.
Oh,
imagine,
too good.
Imagine.
Too good, Tommy.
It would have been excellent. But yeah, Bottas is just absolutely killing it at the moment. He is getting every ounce out of that car and its potential. I think the team would be very happy with their choice to sign him over the break. They've got such a good leader going in. Whether Joe's there long term or not, we don't know. But right now they've got an excellent leader for whoever they bring in underneath if Joe isn't for the future. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just an absolute champion, personality.
Yep.
And just leader for that team.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Big fan.
It reminds me a bit of the first year that Kimi Räikkönen had in that Alfa Romeo.
Yep.
Particularly the first half of the first year.
I miss Kimi already.
Oh, man. F1's not the same, is it?
It's not. Kimi.
Who do we go to for the laughs?
I would have loved to see Kimi and Bottas as a team. That would have been outstanding.
Just because they're finished.
Yeah, it just would have been great. There would have been 10 words collectively said over the whole weekend, and just good racing.
Kimi was just loose.
Is Kimi still alive? Do we know? Have we heard from him? Where is he?
He just does these I'm not on social media, but I always see someone's posted it in the Discord. It's just Kimi just like waving at people, and that's it. And it says hello.
He's a simple guy.
Yeah.
I love it. We miss you, Kimi.
Rob N, he'll be back.
Kimi, if you could come back and be a commentator, get rid of rid of White Shoes, bloody
Laser.
Kimi for Laser. I'm in for that spot. Let's do it. Who says no? Let's jump into. We'll finish off talking about Mercedes. We've already mentioned a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I think Russell had a very impressive race. It pains me to say because you know how I feel about Russell sometimes.
Ugh.
But he's been pretty. My dad, who hasn't watched much Formula 1, was like, "Geez, he seems like a bit of a dick." That was his first impression. I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It's not just me, is it?" It's like he's just got this look about him.
Yeah, right.
He seems like a dick.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, good. I was like, I thought I was just being an arsehole. No, he gives that to everyone.
Yeah, he's got
good.
He's got that British "I'm better than you" vibe.
Exactly.
Well, there's a lot of wicked British people that like Poms. Let's not British.
Yeah.
Poms. The Poms are great.
It's a different word, isn't it?
There's a lot of cracking Poms out there. He's one of those ones you just go,
settle down.
Mate, what?
He is very much like that. But very impressive. Like he did, given that Max did have a problem with his DRS, but he was defending quite well.
Yeah.
A couple of borderline ones, did you think?
Well,
a couple of double moves.
No, I didn't think so.
It was kind of like it was just legal, wasn't it? It was kind of like
it was the first time Max's DRS worked, and he put it up the inside, and then Russell did the little what do you call it, the undercut, and then got back around him, and then got on the inside for that long sweep in turn 3.
Yeah,
I thought, geez, that's good driving right there. And that whole lap was
a great lap.
It was great. So the kid's got it. Like we knew it. Cool, you're a dick, but you can drive a car.
You're very quick.
We know you can drive a car.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was interesting. I think Russell is reminding me of that aggressive young Max. You remember when Max Verstappen was like just absolute insane
on a tear.
That kind of like switchback move reminded me of that, where it was like, I'm just on the inside of legal here, like an inch or two more the other way. I just thought like,
I wouldn't have said that, but
just the way he kind of positioned his car there was like, I'm not letting Max have a car width. You're going to have to use some curb here. You're going to have to use some edge of grass here. I think that was just, I like it. And if George does more of those kind of balls out, like aggressive driving moves, like he might get some fans that way if he's going to be that entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, the move was great.
It was great. It wasn't in question, but I just hadn't seen him drive that aggressively. I suppose, how could you if you're at the back all the time?
I think he's a guy that knows the limits. In his mind, he knows what he can and can't do, and he'll never cross a line. Except
when he crosses onto the line and hits some grass and then takes out VB at Imola and then goes and smacks him on the helmet because he's a dumbass and he doesn't realise it's his own fault.
Yeah.
But,
look, you're racing cars at 300k an hour. There's always something going to happen. But
no, I think he had an excellent race. He he suffered from the inverse of what we've seen for the last 4, 5, 6 years, which was 2 Red Bulls taking on a Mercedes. Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And you could just see that team wasn't used to that situation of how do we cover off 2 people, which makes what Max did even more impressive all those years when it was 2 Mercedes versus just him.
Yeah.
For Max to get wins while that was happening is insane because when you had this pincer move of 2 Red Bulls doing alternate strategies and pick your lumps, Russell, what do you want?
Yeah.
So I think it just really shines a light on how dominating that can be to have 2 cars fighting for a win.
Yeah.
It is really tough to race against.
No, spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. Good point, Tommy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And I think Russell was probably I'm in a better position. I've got a faster car right now. I'm lapping. And he just gets undercut. He's like, what do you do? You can't cover off both cars.
That's what I said before. He had a different race to what Lewis had.
Yeah.
Where Lewis could just not be fast and put down stonking lap after stonking lap.
Yep.
Russell's race was different when you compare the lap time stuff. It was different because he was trying to keep Max behind him when he had the chance. That ultimately probably ruined his whole race, really. So anyway,
for sure,
pretty good.
And let's move on to Ferrari.
The Fairs.
Leclerc, very disappointing to have engine trouble. You could see he was clearly devastated. Leading a race to have your engine fail and go into limp home. It just sounded like it just slipped through gears. He couldn't travel.
It was an engine.
Yeah.
It blew. Who knows what happened?
I'm sure it'll come out what it actually was with the power unit, but
yeah, who knows?
To be leading a race and have your engine just give out through no fault of your own must be one of the more devastating things that can happen in F1, hey?
It's happened to the best of them.
It has, hasn't it? I was genuinely shocked. I was like,
yeah.
But then on the other side, I was like, well, Max has had some pretty bad luck and some DNFs. Feel like one back Ferrari's way kind of just levels the playing field for the championship at least.
Yeah, well, man.
Because Max was looking at a deficit of a whole race that he had to make up over the year. And if it was going to be first and seconds for him and Leclerc the whole time with no DNFs, that's a tough kind of clawback.
Yeah.
Now it's just back to neutral almost.
Well, Max is in the lead.
Max will be in the lead by a little bit now.
Yeah.
But Max is
9-10 points.
Yeah, Max has had a few DNFs already this very young season.
Yeah.
So.
Look, the media from Ferrari they're starting to put pressure on Red Bull for their reliability. And then for that to happen to them, I was like, geez.
Disappointing.
Look, I feel sorry for the kid.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the first chance he's got. We're 5 races in. But it's the second half of the season. It's the start of that second half of the season where
after the break,
where Red Bull have traditionally, as an organisation, have just gone on a tear.
And if you were going to pick a team, Ferrari or Red Bull, to back in
Red Bull,
in the development of a car, is just who's spending their money and time and energy better than Red Bull. In that,
I'll put my hands up. Bonotto's done a killer job to get Ferrari back to where they are.
Yeah.
Do they have that last, 0.5% to get them over the line? Not at the moment.
I think it's the in-season development that Ferrari are poor at. Post-season and leading into a new season, excellent. I think it's those updates that they bring throughout race weekends, which Ferrari have just been behind the other 2 teams.
The problem is Ferrari bought upgrades this week, and if they hadn't won the race, we would have been praising them for their upgrades.
Yeah.
You
do you think that the Red Bull, and we can talk about Red Bull now as well, and I suppose we quickly talk about Sainz.
Yeah, Sainz for me, he's making too many mistakes.
Oh, mate. We do like Carlos, but Max had that same issue going into 4 with the wind.
The gusty wind,
which just, it's like invisible. It's breaking at ghosts and stuff like that, isn't it?
Strange place to lock a rear.
It is a weird one.
I think he had, look, Max was different. Max was clearly
a gust of something.
He lost it.
It just floated. His rear end just kind of lifted and just slid.
Sainz was different. Sainz is locked the rears and spun at 180. I think he had a brake balance, a brake bias issue.
And
I don't think he had it. I think he had it right. They're constantly changing those things as they go along.
And he just hadn't changed it to the right.
Well, Yeah, I think it was one of those things.
Yeah. But
We'll
to
never know
recover
that.
back to, I think it was fifth.
Fifth, yeah, no, good result for him. Yeah, he was fifth, and then
He's fourth.
Fourth.
Solid, yeah. Hamilton was fifth. Yeah. No, it's a good result.
Yeah. No.
He did well there. His second half of the race, he really clawed back and put in some good times. Strategy from that point, they had to obviously deal with a very flat spotted tire and whatever that was to recover and not have to ruin the strategy was because that would have sucked to drive on after that, wouldn't it? Don't know how they do it.
But I think porpoising's bad.
Yeah, flat spotted, just driving around on a square.
Got a rattle in my car at 100k. It drives me mental. Let alone
just pull over and find out where it is.
Let alone having a bloody.
What do you do? Did you just get out some like builder's foam and just spray the whole car and see what stops?
Just got too much shit in my car. Or too much work stuff to care what it is now. Just turn up the radio.
Just constantly rattles. Just put some earmuffs on and just keep going. The
old Nav's still kicking.
That's it.
Troopy update is there is no Troopy update.
No Troopy update.
Well, they told me when I ordered in November, they told me May. Well, sorry. They told me by Christmas. They told me by Christmas. They told me May, and then I went in the other day, and they're like, "Yeah, it's still 12 months." I was just like, geez, thanks for the phone call, guys." Anyway, that's for those who've been asking. Troopy update right there. So still on order.
I think Campbell might be getting a poo troll instead now.
No, I'm just gonna have to get something in the meantime.
Just a little runner, something.
No, I'm just gonna get something good for what I need. That's not what I really want.
What are those Mercedes dual cabs? You might get one of those.
No.
Why not?
No. I might get an LDV, Tommy.
Do it.
No. I've actually driven one. For what you get in them, bang for your buck.
No, I could see you in a big Silverado, mate.
Well, that's the other thing. Go American.
Instead of just give up the Troopy and go like a big Silverado or the 150s.
Oh, you wouldn't get a 150 if you're gonna go full American truck. You'd go a 450 Julie, or a 350. You wouldn't go.
What road are you planning on driving? 150. Our roads are tiny, mate.
150s ain't big enough.
You're out of control.
Towing capacity's not big enough.
What are you planning on towing your house?
The 3-ton excavator I've just bought, which is nice. It's good. Got some toys.
Well, I mean, that's going to save your back instead of digging trenches all the time. So fair enough.
Anyway,
let's get into Red Bull. Perez, he had a solid race.
Unlucky for Perez, I reckon.
Yeah. Do you think that was team orders as much as it was Max will pass you? Don't make this hard.
No, they were on different strategies. It was always going to come to play at the end of the race.
Yeah.
I think they were getting. I think they were getting Sergio to drive at a pace and a delta, which ensured that Max would always win the race.
Yeah.
For me, that's frustrating. But for someone like Checo, he knows where he is in that team. And a second place has ticked the box. His bonuses are probably structured to support Max somewhat.
Yeah.
And he'll take his $500,000 or $1 million he got for the podium position up against Max. It might even be the same as Max what he gets. So,
and I suppose like if the championship landscape was different, right now Max is clawing back from a deficit. And you know Max is the title favourite for that team. So Checo knows that as well.
Checo has his weekends, yeah.
For sure. But I think later in the season, maybe if Max has built up a bit of a lead,
yeah,
you might not see that come into play because Max is already in a position of strength and they could be like, yeah, a second's fine for Max. He doesn't need to get the points here.
Yeah.
Checo, you continue on and have your win. Yeah. Because if you Checo, you still want that win, don't you?
Oh, totally. He wants to bank. If he can leave F1 with 10 wins, how many's he got now?
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
And if he can walk away with 10 wins or 15 over the next...
Like a Bottas career.
If he's there for the next 3 years and gets those 15, 20 wins, he'll walk away as...
He's stoked. I think
in the history books, he'll go down as one of the better drivers. Realistically, was he? Well, right place, right
I
time.
think the issue was going to be if they didn't say anything and he tried to defend Max, it could have just spiraled because Max was going to get past.
Yeah, but we're saying
Max was going to put a move on. But do you want to bring that animosity into a team? I mean, now you're going to bring it in a different way, maybe.
We saw Danny Rick and Max Verstappen crash into each other all the time.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine if they had crashed?
Remember that Baku one?
Yeah.
That was a debacle of a day.
Bad.
That was a debacle of a day.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, look, Red Bull had to deal with those things.
Yeah.
I don't think they want it to happen this early. If it happened at race 18, I'm not sure.
Yeah, this one felt less team ordersy though than others. Like, yeah, it was said, but I think it was more like Max has got the pace. He's going to come through. Don't make it hard because it's going to happen. Like, why are you going to waste tires for three laps defending him when he's going to get past you?
For me, if it's different strategy, who cares?
Exactly.
If it's not different strategy, game on.
Exactly. I think you're right there. And that's kind of what we've seen before where we hear this Valtteri, it's James kind of stuff when it's like, nah, I've got the pace here. You're pulling me out.
Yeah.
Very, very disappointing. Well, that's all the teams this week. And now for...
Good. We got through it. Jeez, mate. That's only 15.
We're bloody professionals. We're all right.
Bloody hell, we can talk.
We can. When we don't have James just interrupting us rudely all the time.
All right.
Now I'm going to have a crack at reading your favourite part, which is all of the fantasy names. Watch me stuff this up. Fantasy.
See that?
I'll get to. I haven't seen it yet. No.
Vote 1 United Campy Party.
Jeez. I mean, I'd vote for you, Campy.
Right. You want to do this? You do this.
How am I pronouncing that? James does.
Barcelonzo.
Yeah. Spain.
With the lisp.
Spain.
With the lisp.
Barcelonzo. I can't do it. Cooking tapas on Hondas. The green Red Bull, good. Gimme all the upgrades. Ted's evil porpoise. Alexander Elbow, our new PM. That's good. Josh L. That's good.
Oh,
Lawrence, don't copy the powertrains. LBS.
Latifi's body security.
P20, Barcelona.
Rick and Naughty.
That's good. Rick and Naughty.
That's my
Blair
favourite.
H. That's solid. Yeah, I think that's this week's winner. Kevin Magnuson 07. Okay.
I see what you did there, Sammy. Very good. Yeah. Very good.
Why is Barcelona? De Vries. How do you say his name?
De Vries.
Drive circles around Latifi. Interesting.
There's some good ones in there. Some not so funny ones in there too, but good.
I'm just not as good at reading it as James.
No, James is way better.
That's one thing I'll give him. Like the rest of the podcast, I'm obviously way better than him. But he's very elite at reading out these fantasy names.
Yeah,
we've missed you, Jim.
We have.
And Manus and Freya.
Well, Manus was here at the 4:45 ready to go, but he's
Peanut couldn't get his audio gear to work, so he told him to rack off and we'll do it ourselves.
So we miss you, Manus.
We're excited to have the Manus on as well. It's been a while.
He's probably shit-faced again. So.
Manus the Menace. Love Manus the Menace. What a good guy. All right, that's it. So thank you for listening. And if you've got feedback, we'd love to hear it if it's positive. If you could jump onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, 5 stars, 10 out of 10.
Love that.
Just help us out.
Community's growing.
Give
it's
us some
good.
love.
Discord's good. I apologise for my lack of interest in Discord this year. Look, I just can't use my phone. I can't do social media.
Campy lives in very rural Victoria now. He's got no internet.
Yeah, look, I don't have internet, actually. It's a beautiful thing. I just can't. Yeah, but get on there. It's good community, good fun, good banter. More banter, the better.
That's it.
Have fun. Keep it light-hearted. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We're the first to laugh at each other and the first to laugh at ourselves. So,
serious guy.
Yeah, wink, wink.
Big serious guy.
Wink, wink.
All right, Campy, we'll be back next week. Where are we going to be back?
Monaco.
This is going to be good.
We're going to see Nico there, though, because it's his hometown. Nico Rosberg, 2016 World
Prediction
Champion.
already, Monaco. We are going to see Leclerc not get a point.
I reckon if Danny Rick can pull something out of his ass in
Please,
qualifying,
Daniel.
we'll see a
Please,
podium
Daniel.
next weekend. So
I'd love to see
anyway.
it. All right, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Oh, I'm gonna have to channel my gym. I don't know how to do. He asked me to do the normal intro, so
See?
all right, let's give it a crack. But he yells.
Does he?
I'm not going to yell. I'm just going to say it in a normal voice. I think he's a bit excessive sometimes.
I should probably face you so that
we can kind of face each other.
this is cute.
All right, you ready?